Yes! Oh, it is. It is. Hump Day edition of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Thank you to everyone who's already gracing us with your presence in the live chat. Be sure, whether you're watching this live or you watch it replay later on, you smash that like button. Hit that like button. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to 5 Reasons YouTube. So much goddamn content. I mean, videos all the time. Miami Heat shows, Miami Dolphins shows, Miami Hurricanes, Florida Panthers content. You got comment come out of your ears in a good way. So make sure you smash the like and subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports. I'm flying solo today, bros. Manny Chang is out in the woods. Sean Stanley had to work at the Inter Miami game. So left to my own devices. If anything breaks, like if the internet breaks down again, don't blame the globalists, bros. Don't blame George Soros, Hillary Clinton, Roger Goodell. Oh, my tinfoil hat got all screwed up. But if anything goes wrong and breaks down today, it's completely my fault. I don't have Sean or Manny backstage running things, so we're going to try not to mess anything up too badly. Going to have plenty of discussions today, my friends. I'm going to make my case in a few minutes as to why I'm so bullish on the Miami Heat, why I believe they can get back to the NBA Finals for the second time in 3 years, and why too many people in the media, too many NBA fans are sleeping on the Heat and the improvements and the adjustments that they made during the offseason. I'm going to tell you why the Heat are going to get back to the NBA Finals, why they're going to get through the East this year. We're going to have a good Canes discussion. At least I hope it's a good discussion. I think it will be a very good discussion with our buddy David Eversole at around 3:15. Around 3:30, we're going to talk some Miami Dolphins with Big John Stud. So we have a lot of business to get to. I want to remind you guys, we have an official sports bar here on Donno Daily, and that is the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Oh, we're going to have so many watch parties, Miami Heat road games, Monday Night Football, all throughout the coming months at the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Guys, if you head out there on a Saturday and a Sunday during football season, take advantage of the 5 for $15 ice-cold bucket specials of beer. Ice-cold buckets of beer, Heineken family of beers, High Noon Hard Seltzer, or mix and match those to your heart's content at the Quarterdeck. They have 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. They've got TVs covering every wall. It's such a great place to watch games, and it's such a great place, by the way, to watch UFC pay-per-view fights because they have every UFC pay-per-view for zero cover charge. They will charge you nothing at the door to watch a pay-per-view at the Quarterdeck. The food is so good. The seafood, the fresh fish, the oysters and Maine lobster, the sushi is right out of the ocean. I love also the burgers and sandwiches at the Quarterdeck, the French dip sandwich, the jerk chicken sandwich. The burgers are to freaking die for, my friends. So if you want to find the location nearest to you, or check out their menu before you go, visit them on the web, quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. We have an official sports book here on Donno Daily. I actually won a bet this afternoon already. Champions League, I had Salzburg over Wolfsburg, and I cashed it. I did not mush Salzburg today, and I placed that bet at BetUS.com. It's our official sports book, and it's America's favorite sports book. Their customer service is impeccable. They don't have some of the gigantic rollovers that some of the other sites have. It's a really, really good site and an honest site, BetUS.com. And guys, bet with the 3-decade leader. They've been around for nearly 30 years. They're in their 27th NFL season. Join now for a 125% sign-up bonus if you sign up and deposit with our code. I don't know what you've been waiting for. I mean, football season is almost half over. Basketball season starting up. FOMO into this, man. Sign up at BetUS.com. Use our code 5RSN125 and get a 125% sign-up bonus. So if you deposit $100, they're going to give you $125 of free play money on top of that deposit. How good is that? And when you sign up, you can bet sports. You can play in the casino. The online casino is great. Bet horses, pop culture even, and more at BetUS.com. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. I'm so excited for tomorrow night. I'm kind of pissed that we have to wait yet another night to watch Heat basketball. I'm happy about the fact that even though they're going up against a really good team, obviously, and the Milwaukee Bucks looked great in their debut against the Brooklyn Nets last night, the Heat will be the more rested team since Milwaukee played already. The Heat didn't. And of course, the Heat will be the home team tomorrow night, which could be a nice little edge for the Heat, who just had a splendid preseason. The Miami Heat, guys, they can win the East again. And I think they very well can win the Eastern Conference again for the second time in 3 years. You notice most of the so-called experts out there, and I like when they do this, when they sleep on Miami a little bit, because then you get to sneak in when the expectations are lower. And I think Pat Riley likes that, Eric Spoelstra likes it. But most of the so-called experts have the Heat as a 4 or a 5 seed in the East and a first or a second round exit in the playoffs. I have the Heat as a 2 or a 3 seed and an Eastern Conference finalist, potentially an NBA finalist again. And I'll tell you why. People are really sleeping on 3 factors. And I know that in the spirit of 5 reasons sports, I probably should be giving you 5 reasons, but I'm going to give you 3 reasons why I think people are really sleeping on the Miami Heat. The first of those reasons being the impact of Miami's new players, Miami's additions, especially Kyle Lowry, of course, who is a turbocharging spark plug. What that guy is able to do, pushing the ball in transition, the accuracy, the way he controls the chaos, unbelievable Kyle Lowry, but also PJ Tucker and Markieff Morris, who fit the culture perfectly. And all 3 of these guys have championship experience, which I know was an important factor for Riley in looking who to bring in the offseason. Let me bring in guys who know what it means to win championships. The second factor here is the development of the younger players, the existing players on the roster. I think people are sleeping on that, how much better some of these people who have already been in the Heat system are going to be this year. You know, Pat Riley, you notice when he had his presser yesterday, we talked about this at length with Brady Hawk. Riley extensively kept bringing up the development of those younger guys. He brought it up a lot, which tells you Pat Riley is bullish on the younger players. And if Riley is bullish, we should all be bullish. Max Strus, do not sleep on him. Combined with Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, they're going to give the Heat an amazing 1-2-3 punch of 3-point shooters. Tyler Hero, I don't think that so far, and again, preseason, I know we got to watch, an extensive period of the regular season before we make any sweeping statements about him. But Tyler Hero is a guy I think is going to make me eat crow, because I was very down on Tyler Hero last year. I was very down on Hero. I thought he was way too distracted. I thought he was way too into himself, and you could see his on-court performances suffering from that. To me, he looks focused. He looks zoned in. And he's also physically bigger and stronger. Like, he has looked like a man possessed in the preseason. He's put on size. He's put on strength. I think that he's working on aspects of his game that he neglected a little bit in his sophomore slump last year. And it wasn't a terrible year last year, but given how great he was in the bubble, the rookie year, I would consider last year to be a sophomore slump for him. Ethan Skolnick even thinks Tyler Hero is going to lead the Heat in scoring this season. Now, even if he does it, like even if he's third behind Jimmy and Bam, we're still feasting, okay? If Tyler Hero can give us a similar level of play, even 80% in the regular season of what he just gave us in the preseason, this team has a big 4, not just a big 3. The big 4 being Jimmy, Lowry, Bam, and Tyler. I mean, Tyler Hero almost a point per minute in the preseason. I think, and staying on the young guys, and I know that when you talk about young guys, this is not the guy you think of because he's been around for a bit now, but people will be shocked, and yes, he is still young, by the jump that Bam Adebayo makes this coming season. He's put on size as well, which is pretty important for a center. He needs to be more committed to being aggressive and playing bully ball, and I think he will. He's going to become more of a perimeter threat. I don't expect him shooting many threes because we didn't see that in preseason, to be fair, but I know that's part of his game he's been working on, and I do think the volume and the success of his mid-range jumper is going to be there, and it's going to be even better this year. And this is something else we've talked about so much. Every time we've had a basketball guy on the show, whether it be Brady, whether it be Ethan Skolnick, Alana, Michael Christian, although we mostly talked football yesterday with Michael Christian, but, we talked so much about the players who are going to benefit from the arrival and the elements that Kyle Lowry brings on both ends of the floor, but especially the offensive end. Bam Adebayo, I think, is going to benefit from that the most, that Lowry is going to open up so many things for Bam. Now, the third factor here on why I'm buying into the Heat and I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, even though a lot of people aren't. The third factor here is you look at the lack of stability elsewhere in the Eastern Conference. When I talk about the Heat being a team I'm propping up to win the East, part of that is not just what the Heat is doing, but what the others are doing, okay? And I don't need to lecture you guys on what's going on elsewhere in the conference right now. The Brooklyn Nets, who lost their opener last night, they began the season as the odds-on favorite for the title. They have a massive Kyrie Irving problem, okay? Now, theoretically, KD and James Harden could still be good enough even without Kyrie to win the East, but history tells you one of them or both of them is going to miss significant time this season because that's usually the way that it goes with these guys. And I do think the whole Kyrie factor and the distraction of it is going to continue to hurt that team. Now, we also know, speaking of distractions, the Philadelphia 76ers, they are an absolute dumpster fire right now. They have to solve their Ben Simmons problem. And so far, they've been too dysfunctional to do so. These arrogant assholes running the Philadelphia 76ers, like they have known the entire offseason that Simmons was pissed. He was unhappy. He wanted out. Yet they've dug in their heels. They want Simmons to be a Sixer. They refuse to trade him. They're still refusing to trade him. So, A, if they had actually dealt him during the summer, they would have gotten closer to fair value because they had more leverage at that time. And then, B, you wouldn't have Simmons being such a distraction right now where this guy, he's showing up to practice with his phone in his pocket. He's not participating in drills. He's getting kicked out of practice. He's being fined. I feel bad for Doc Rivers. I'm a big fan of Doc. I think he's maybe a little bit overrated as a coach, but as a human being, he seems like a great dude. Like I feel bad that every time he speaks, he has to put out 1,000 different fires with this whole Ben Simmons situation. But it's a massive distraction. They have no culture in Philly the way that they do have a culture in Miami. So I think people are probably overrating Philly a little bit, and they're definitely overrating Brooklyn. Now, I know the Milwaukee Bucks, that's going to be the dragon that we have to slay here. The Milwaukee Bucks are formidable as hell, and they will be Miami's primary competition in the East. With improved defense, though, from Kyle Lowry at the point guard position, improved toughness from the closing lineup with a guy like PJ Tucker, who the Heat poached from Milwaukee, by the way. I think the Heat are better equipped to match up with Milwaukee regular season and postseason, which is the most important thing, because if you're going to get through the East, you're likely going to have to get through Milwaukee. So to give you an example of that, here's something I was reading Brady Hawk's, one of his preseason pieces on the Heat. And this is something that Brady said about the matchups defensively that Miami has against Milwaukee. You look at PJ Tucker on Brook Lopez, Bam Adebayo probably on Giannis Antetokounmpo. Obviously, there's no great matchup against Giannis, of course. He says, when looking at pure on-paper matchups for these two teams, it's pretty intriguing, he says. Lowry on Holiday, Robinson on Allen, Butler on Middleton, and, well, the front court matchups, which we already mentioned, Bam on Giannis, PJ Tucker on Lopez. He says, it feels like it'll be a deal where they mix it up a bit throughout, especially with Coach Spo not wanting Adebayo to get in early foul trouble. But I think that adjustment will be made once we hear the first whistle. PJ Tucker's size doesn't equate to the length on the 7-foot Brook Lopez, he says, but it does equate to width. He can defend the post at a high level against bigger guys, and Miami's scheme will have plenty of doubles flying from all over the place. What is the difference, he says, between this discussion right now versus last year when the Bucks humiliated Miami in the playoffs last year? The matchups can actually be debated, he says, this time out. And listen, 2 playoffs ago, it was the Heat that knocked Milwaukee out. Milwaukee made adjustments, championship-level adjustments, and they got the better end of that chess match the second year. Now, I believe the Heat have made adjustments where they are more equipped to compete with the Milwaukee Bucks. So I am positively bullish on the Miami Heat. In a moment, we're going to bring on our first guest of the day, David Eversole. Let me give a few hellos here in the chat. And again, guys, I'm running this all me today. Sean Stanley, Punk, he's out today. Manny Chang, he's running out in the woods today. He's running away from Sasquatch with the beef jerky in his pocket. He's doing that survival training that he does on Wednesdays. I don't know what he expects to get out of the survival training. I'm wondering if Manny is one of those guys who thinks the apocalypse could come at any second, and he wants to be ready, like just in case society might crumble tomorrow. I've got news for you. Like Manny is ready. If society were to crumble tomorrow, he knows he can survive out in the woods and probably live for like 30, 40 years out there just on tree bark and roadkill, where the rest of us, guys, I admit, I wouldn't last a month if society were to crumble. Electricity's out. Let's say, I don't have four walls to live in with a kitchen and plumbing. If I have to live out in the woods, I'm probably going to go for literally as long as a human being can survive without regular food and water. I give myself about a month. Manny Chang, I think, could make it a few decades. So he's he's going to be in the bunker with his shoes, says Brooklyn Rob. Oh, my God. Justin Hill says top 3 in the East. Well, definitely top 3 because I'm saying top 1. So, yes, top 3. That is 100% correct. Chris Adams, hello to you. He says, please, Heat, save us. We're counting on them. We're counting on the Heat. And my apologies to David because he always tells me not to bring up the Florida Panthers. Don't talk about the Florida Panthers because he knows about my mushing powers. Like he knows that I'm going to mush the Panthers, but I got to do it, bro. I'm not saying I'm trying to mush them, but I've got to bring them up. The Florida Panthers are 3-0-0 to start the year. They're looking sweet. They're going to take a Stanley Cup home to Broward County. I'm telling. I can't mush them because I think they're too good to be mushed. In Pat we trust. Big Dan 305 said hello, Big Dan. Hello to MB Beggs. KL7 and Marco. He's from Toronto. He's a Raptors fan, so he knows Kyle Lowry very well. Lowry is a true leader and pace setter on both sides of the ball. Absolutely. He's been an absolute revelation in the preseason. And of course, I watched him in Toronto. I know how good Lowry is. Hello to Devin Jordan, who says he's still pissed off about the Jag loss. So am I. We're going to be talking some Dolphins throughout the show. Bimmy Badabayo. I love that username. That is so good, man. And anybody else I missed, welcome into the stream. We got to welcome our first guest of the day into the stream. David Eversole.
What's up?
It's been too long. I think this is your second appearance on Donno Daily. I believe we should be in double digits by now, man. I will make up for that in the near future. How are you?
Hey, good, brother. How's it going? Thanks for having me today, man.
You're doing pretty well, bro. And of course, I wanted to talk some Canes with you. You're as passionate as I am. Now, I talked a little bit yesterday. There are some rumblings, and I don't have any personal sources on this. I rely on the reporting of others, and Gary Furman from Cane Sport is a friend of mine, and I know he talks to people. So there is this feeling right now, David, that there actually is something brewing behind the scenes where an athletic department and a university president's office that has developed this reputation of just pure apathy and frugality, quite frankly, because they have the reputation of not being willing to spend and not really caring if, the football team and the basketball team are great, that according to Gary Furman, there actually are things happening behind the scenes. There are business people like Jose Mas coming in, who's also a trustee, helping to raise money, and that there could even be $100 million athletics budget in the near future, and that they're wanting to turn things around. Are you allowing yourself to get hopeful? Because I think if there's anything Miami Hurricanes fans have learned over the past 15 years is every time we get our hopes up, like, oh my God, this Al Golden, look how well-spoken and passionate he is. Oh, we brought in Mark Richt, who's had great seasons in the SEC, and Randy Shannon, he'll do great. Like, we've been burned so many times before. Do you allow yourself to get your hopes up, and do you think real substantive change could be coming in that athletic department?
Well, I think it has to, obviously, given the results on the field the last few seasons under Manny Diaz. But in order for that to happen, it has to be a two-pronged approach. Obviously, they have to want to dedicate the resources, the financial commitments to bring in somebody at the upper echelon, but they also have to make a decision administratively in terms of Blake James. Because if he's going to be the holdover as an AD and you're going to bring in a higher status head coach, I don't think it's going to work. So in order for this to work, I think they have to go all in. They can't just push their chips halfway into the table and hope for the best, because you've seen under Manny Diaz that the team week after week and now season after season is actually getting worse. And the concern with me is that the team is very talented. And that's what you're seeing is guys like Gregory Rousseau, going to the Buffalo Bills, obviously put in a good situation, but there are NFL caliber players coming through this program that are underperforming in college. The team overall is underperforming in college. So you have to look at it as a rebuild like you would in the NFL, basically, which the Dolphins and the Hurricanes, I mean, you could just switch, those names out and it's exactly the same situation right now. But, that's for conversation later in the show. But a lot of similarities there in those two programs right now. But I think with the Hurricanes, you just have to take the business of football more seriously. And I read that Kane Sport article. It had a lot of good information in it. And if a lot of those things were to come to the surface, and yeah, you would have hope. But with the money, you have to make the right decisions. And I think Blake James is tied to Manny Diaz, so you kind of can't have one without the other.
Yeah, that's well said. And you talk about that. Yeah, there is talent on the team now. There has been talent that comes through. I mean, you bring up a guy like Greg Rousseau who's balling out in the NFL. I think Jalen Phillips could ball out as well. He's starting to do that a little bit with the Miami Dolphins. But now you also have to worry about future talent, because something that I can't help but notice, and I don't cover recruiting as closely as our mutual friend Larry Bluestein does, for example, but I have noticed the lack of commits for 2022 and recent decommits for 2022, like Traquan Fagans, who recently decommitted. He wound up at Alabama, so I guess good on him. I mean, that's a pretty awesome program to go to. But it's like, a lot of times, David, when people will make an argument against getting rid of a coach even when he's struggling, the argument would be, well, we don't want to disrupt the great recruiting classes. Now, Manny did a damn good job with the class of 2021. He's had some good recruiting classes, so I give him credit. But when it comes to, the upcoming class and beyond, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot locked in right now. So I don't think it would be a big time tragedy for recruiting if they were to make a coaching change.
No, I think it's the opposite way. I think it would actually be a boost to recruiting because the recruits now can see that Miami is a program on the decline. And is that somewhere, a 3, 4, 5-star blue chip type recruit is going to want to commit to? A university in turmoil, a lame duck coach, if you will, because I mean, it's almost a sure inevitability that Diaz will probably be gone at the end of the season, whether Blake James follows suit as well isn't quite as apparent, but yeah, like dead man walking basically there. It's kind of just like get through the season. I think there's no point to really get rid of him now. The team at least competed in the last two ACC games, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think a stadium sees worse football on Saturday and Sunday than Hard Rock Stadium. I mean, it's just bad there, and like there's no buzz to the program. There's no like, oh, okay, they're close to right there. It's like it seems like they just, that whole the U is back. They just keep getting farther and farther away from it. And I think that if they're going to commit the money, it has to be to somebody with cash, with provenance, and that can recruit and that can bring in dynamic coaches. Because what we're seeing on Saturdays with these players, and then like we said on Sundays, they're not well coached.
No.
They're talented players that are just not fundamentally sound. They don't tackle. They don't fill their assignments. They make pre-snap penalties. They miss reads on offense. It's just it's death by 1,000 cuts with this team, and you just see it in the game planning. You see it in the energy level, in the inconsistency with play calling, with execution, across the board. It's just so inconsistent that I think recruits are just sort of waiting and seeing, unless they're diehard Miami kids, Miami commits through and through. I don't think you're really going to land anybody unless you bring in somebody who's going to demand that respect and has the credibility to turn this program around. Because a Mark Richt type coach, somebody who's been at a high level but maybe hasn't quite got over the hump, somebody like that that's established could maybe set this program right.
And before we get into maybe who could be the next guy, I do want to talk about a couple of positives, because I don't want anybody telling me, oh, you're always so negative on the Canes. I mean, first of all, I love the Canes, and I'm ride or die with the University of Miami. It's not as if there isn't talent on the field. Let's talk a little bit about quarterback, David, because we've gotten an extensive look here the last couple of weeks. And even though he's not winning games and he's not doing that well in the first half, I love the way he's been finishing games. And I see so much potential there in Tyler Van Dyke. Has he exceeded your expectations? Because one thing that he has exceeded mine with is just his ability to pick up some clutch yardage on the ground. I didn't think he was able to do that. He's not particularly fast, but he's got a really good sense of when to take off and run, and he's got a lot of heart. Like he'll pick up yardage and first downs based on pure will sometimes. Like the kid is a gamer. I'm a big fan now of Tyler Van Dyke.
No, I agree. He made some plays in the second half of that game that really stood out, and he has all the physical tools that you look for. And I think with the reps and now that it's established, like he's kind of QB1 for the moment, the game's going to slow down for him a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I haven't really like made a finite judgment on him. I really wanted to see a little bit more of Jake Garcia
Same.
in
Yeah.
in some of these situations, just because he's there and he didn't really get a lot of an opportunity other than in kind of some mop up duty, if you would, in the blowout, the one game we actually won convincingly. That there's a little bit of that kind of always behind the surface, like would Jake Garcia maybe elevate some of the players around him, because I think Garcia has maybe a little bit higher upside, but Garcia's floor, or excuse me, Van Dyke's floor is higher. Like I think what you'll see from Van Dyke on a week to week basis be more consistent, but I think Garcia maybe has a little bit more of that intangible it factor, if you will, to kind of even spark the team a little bit more. But if the receivers can't catch the ball, so I don't really think it matters who throws it to them too much, other than Rambo and Smith. There's really and that's the thing that really disappoints me with this team, is that upperclassmen are worse
Yeah.
than the underclassmen. Like players get worse as they go through their 3 years at Miami, and the same thing with the coaching staff. It's like the players mirror the coaches with this team, and it's like, and then you see them get to the NFL, and then they take off. It's like I just don't understand. I think you gotta reset the offense as well. And I don't know if this system is really beneficial to either one of these quarterbacks. To be honest with you, I don't know if it really plays to their strengths. What do you think of that of the Lashley? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. There's been I felt like there was a lot more rhythm last year, so it's like was it just so much on De'Ara King? Like what was it, just that the offensive line struggling more? So I don't, like, there's obviously potential there with Lashley. But yeah, the offense it's been just out of sync all season long. So something I want to ask you before we let you run in a couple of minutes. So if the head coaching job does come open, and it is open in the offseason, who do you favor? Because I got to tell you, I know that people will try and bring up some red flags with his personal life that have come up lately, but I'm a big Ed Orgeron fan. I am. Now, would I prefer, in a vacuum, all things equal, Mario Cristobal? Probably so, but I don't think that that's really attainable. Whereas we know Coach O will definitely be available, because he and LSU are parting ways. He's going to get bought out. So
Mhm.
I think Miami are considered the second betting favorite to land his services, with USC being the top choice. He's had a couple of stops in USC, had a stop, of course, at Miami back in the 80s under Jimmy Johnson as well. So you look at, potential available candidates. Who do you like? Who do you think can fit this job in this culture?
No, actually, I think you said it with Coach O, honestly, because it's somebody like you're kind of buying low on a really, really good head coach who kind of just fell out of favor with LSU, and obviously, with the other stuff that happened, it sort of was a mutual parting of ways. But you see that, I mean, he wasn't fired immediately, and just like it wasn't just like a clean break right in the middle of the season. So that makes you think that obviously he's going to recover from this, and his services will be in demand for sure. And I think somebody like that brings that level of established track record that would be somebody that Miami would need. Or even Lane Kiffin, I know, is having success as well this year in the SEC, but I don't know really how long. He seems to always wear out his welcomes pretty quick
It's true.
wherever
And
he
I love
goes.
Lane. I'm a big Lane fan.
Yeah, I mean, here at FAU, I mean, he did a lot for this program as well in the short time he was here. But no, to me, I think I agree with you. I think Coach O would be the kind of candidate, like you're sort of stealing him in the right time and place, and who's somebody that can bring in coaches underneath him, because I think the head coach is only part of the equation. I think you've got to bring in teaching coaches to this program to reestablish the fundamentals because it's a sloppily run program,
And
honestly.
and I just want to get an opportunity to cover a Coach O press conference. I mean, those are so epic, and try to decipher what he's saying. Oh my God, I would love that.
Yeah, he could definitely use some subtitles in a lot of those things.
Well, great stuff here. David Eversole from the Five Reasons Sports Network. Let people know, man, you got any content coming out? Where can they find you upcoming here on fivereasonsports.com and throughout our various YouTube and podcasting channels?
Well, I'm going to be covering the Panthers this year. I'm going to be there in person a
Nice.
little bit, and also with the fifth line crew with Alex and Shane and all those guys, Manny as well, with the Florida Panthers. Of course, the Six Ring Cane show as well, which is on Thursdays. And with Fridays, I have the Miami Sports Break with my partner Jakari Givens, and I'm also doing the Prize Picks Daily Fantasy show as well, a couple times a week. Now with NBA kicking off and a lot of Heat fans out there, we're going to be promoting a lot of the fantasy content as well. So you can find me all over the network. Pretty much every day I'm doing something one way or another. And follow me at David W. Eversole on Twitter.
I love that, man. You're a true Swiss Army knife. You got your hand in everything, and that's beautiful. David Eversole, follow him on Twitter at David W. Eversole. Thank you so much, man, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Appreciate it, brother. You too, man.
Awesome stuff here. Going to bring on our next guest in a moment. I want to remind you guys, another great partner to us here on Donno Daily and on the entire Five Reasons Sports Network, Underdog Fantasy. Guys, I am having a blast. I am on that app 2-3 times a week at minimum. Underdog Fantasy is the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports for big cash prizes. Guys, get in on these basketball drafts. It is so much fun, man. And of course, the NFL stuff has been going on. I'm making picks on the Underdog Fantasy app every single week. No need to worry about waivers, lineups, or injuries. Underdog Fantasy handles all of it for you. Go to underdogfantasy.com or download their very easy to use mobile app, free mobile app, by the way. Draft a season-long best ball team, and that's it. No in-season management. They're going to give you $25 in free play money when you sign up, so you can take a free shot at a $1 million grand prize in their fantasy football tournament. That's right, a free $25 in bonus cash on Underdog Fantasy if you use our code. You see it there on the screen, 5RSN. Use our code 5RSN when you make your first deposit. Guys, I love Underdog Fantasy because it's so easy to use. The mobile app is absolutely slick. The website is user-friendly. Do what I've been doing. Go to underdogfantasy.com, join a league, draft a team, and that is it. You're good for the season. And use our code 5RSN125. Underdog Fantasy. Bring on a man who's becoming such a good friend of the show and becoming like a brother to me. What a great dude. And listen, Big John Stud, whenever the Dolphins lose and the Canes lose, not only do I feel bad for me, I feel bad for the players, I feel bad for the fans, I feel bad for you because I know you are as passionate as I am about the local football teams. I hope you're getting into hockey because the Panthers are really good, and of course the Miami Heat. You're repping the Heat gear today. I know you're into them. How you doing, Big John?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing better. Things have been a little crazy lately, but you live and you learn.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, the Miami Dolphins just had a game where, bro, I can speak for me, I can speak for you, and I think I can speak for everybody on the chat here that I hope that this past week was rock bottom when you lose to, at the time, an 0-5 Jaguars team who had been kind of the joke of the NFL up until that point, and Urban Meyer, the punchline of a lot of NFL jokes up until that point. Can we bounce back? And what do you look at for the rest of the year? Are you giving up on playoffs? Are you still holding out some hope? Is the rest of this season about evaluation for you?
I'm not giving up. I still think that we can make the playoffs, as crazy as that sounds. I mean, you have to look at it from this perspective. Um, at the end of the day, Tua Tagovailoa has yet to be able to play with a full set of receivers. Um, when Jacoby was in there, Jacoby had Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, and the entire cast, and he couldn't move the ball. He looked like a high school quarterback. Um, every time Tua goes to play, Tua has an empty cupboard of weapons, like he did this past week. Um, I don't know if everybody notices, but when Kyler Murray played the Jaguars this year, he had about 316 yards with one interception, and his weapons they far exceed what Miami has.
That's true.
Tua Tagovailoa had 330 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT, and he didn't lose the game for the Dolphins. Another mental blunder or a brain fart by the Dolphin defense, because all you got to do is not touch him when he catches the ball, and the clock runs out, and we go to overtime. So I don't understand where all this Tua narrative is that Tua lost the game when Tua doesn't block, Tua doesn't play running back, Tua doesn't play defensive back. So I don't understand what they want Tua to do, unless you're gonna get 11 Tuas and you're gonna multiply them and put them on defense. I really don't understand what more they want the man to do. I mean, he had 330 yards passing. He did his job. Nobody told. I think it was Matt Collins who held or didn't hold. Somebody held in the first half. It would have been another touchdown. We had to settle for a field goal. Another thing, if it's 4th and 1 and you've ran the ball a total of 14 times in the entire game, why would you take the ball out of Tua's hands?
I hated that.
On 4th and 1, when all you do the entire season is run 3-yard outs. You're going to tell me you can't run a 3-yard out for a first down when you did it. They scored a touchdown similarly on a play that they could have used for 4th and 1. You get Waddle, you put him in motion, he stops halfway, comes back, and he gets a 1-yard pass. They scored a touchdown on it 2 times this year, once against the Patriots and once against the Jaguars, but they don't use Tua when they need to use Tua. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, you sit there and you don't punt the ball. First of all, you go for it. If you're going to go for it, don't take the ball out of his hands. Second of all, you had the same play against the Colts and you punted to play field position. So why wouldn't you play field position now, make them go 80 yards to win the game instead of giving them the ball at the 50? It just doesn't make sense. It all goes back to coaching.
Yeah,
it all goes back to coaching.
I agree with a lot of what you said, especially when you talked about anybody who's trying to say that Tua lost that game. It's ridiculous. And I torched those people on Monday's show. It's absurd. Still, and I get the sense talking to you that you are a big-time Tua believer. I'm more of a Tua agnostic. Like, I'm more of a, he might be the guy. He might be really good. I still don't know. I haven't seen enough yet. I'm not writing him off. I'm also not anointing him. So where do you stand, John, on Tua? And I think part of what gets people frustrated about Tua, to be fair, is not that this is Tua's fault, but the guy that was drafted 1 pick after him looks like a Hall of Famer, and Tua hasn't really proven it yet. So I think that does get people a little bit upset. So where do you stand on Tua?
Well, at the end of the day, before I answer that question, we have to give everything. We have to keep it in context. You have Justin Herbert. See, I would love to switch positions and put Tua on San Diego and see how many games San Diego would have won, because they have enough. Their problem last year was run blocking. It was never pass blocking.
Mm-hmm.
So they have receivers. Tua doesn't have a I forgot his name. Keenan Allen. He doesn't have a Keenan Allen. He doesn't have a Mike Williams, and he doesn't have an Austin Eckler. So I don't understand where everybody's coming from with this narrative, because if you would have put Justin Herbert on this Miami Dolphins team, he would be going through the same issues because you can't pass block. What is he going to do?
Now, my only question, though, is if you were to put Tua on the Chargers, now maybe the rib injury wouldn't have happened this year, but would he have been healthy for all these games? Because one of the things that I love about Justin Herbert is the guy's a fucking tank. I mean, the guy is gigantic. I've seen him take some brutal hits that would knock certain quarterbacks out of games, and he rolls right through it. So that's another worry that I have about Tua is his availability. I worry more about his availability than about his ability.
Yeah, but see, here's it. I honestly think that people who don't analyze the people like to say Tua's injury prone. Okay, mm-hmm. That to me, the tag on Tua is unfair. I'm going to explain why. Yes, Tua had surgeries in college. Tua broke a finger. Anybody can break a finger. It's not like, Tua's not Iron Man. He's not Mr. Glass where he shatters every 10 seconds. Okay. He had 2 ankle rope surgeries. The ankle rope surgeries are to prevent you from spraining your ankle, but it's not a major surgery. Okay. It's not like he's falling apart or you have to put him together with duct tape. He had an unfortunate injury with his hip. He's the only person in NFL history to come back from that injury. Bo Jackson couldn't do it. I said it on a previous show with you, okay? And the injury he got hit in 1.5 seconds under his he was throwing the ball, he got hit under his right arm. Jesse Davis looked like he had arthritis and couldn't move, okay? And he gets killed. So it's not like Tua's injury prone. That tag to me is unfair, specifically when you know that if Tua was going to be your quarterback, they have not done not even close to an average job of protecting Tua, because if you take Tua right now and you put him on the New Orleans Saints, I guarantee you things would be a whole lot different with someone who knows how to handle a quarterback who's on the smaller side, okay, who you have to protect. They have not protected Tua. I mean, we look, coaching decisions. You let go of Illuminor for no reason whatsoever, who turns out to be one of the best guards or tackles in the NFL. You had him in your training camp. Apparently, you can't evaluate talent. Okay? So you let him go. You sit there, and I was advocating for Mark Ingram as a running back because Mark Ingram is big. If you're going to use the Wildcat, yeah, use the Wildcat. But why would you not get a running back who can block? I've seen Mark Ingram block a linebacker into next week. The reason why they bring extra pressure against Tua is because they know that if you give Tua the time that you give Jacoby Brissett, Tua's going to eat you alive. They don't do that. They blitz Tua. They don't fear anybody on the outside. Tua's playing without Devontae Parker, without Will Fuller, without Preston Williams, without Jakeem Grant, thank God.
Yeah.
Okay? Because Jesus Christ, like Jakeem Grant had a highlight video that the Chicago Bears put out for him. It was a 3-minute and 30-second video, and it was 6 plays. 6 plays. Okay, so Jakeem Grant caught 2 passes, 1 passing touchdown, a 20-yard reception, and 3 touchdown returns in 4.5 years. That was his highlight package, which is insane to me because he did nothing else. So at the end of the day, we're going to see. I'm a believer that the Dolphins win on Sunday. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I may be the only one, but I don't care, because you don't go from being the greatest college quarterback in the history of college football to being a scrub overnight, okay? I think the Dolphins are going to beat the Bills in Buffalo. I do think Preston Williams comes back. I do think Devontae Parker plays, and I think Will Fuller plays. So if they give Tua the time that they gave Tua this last weekend to throw, it's the first game this season where they haven't allowed a sack. It's incredible, but they did it. So if they can do it again and give Tua actual weapons, every time he plays, there's an empty cupboard. Completely. There's no weapons at all to fear. So if Will Fuller comes back, if a DVP comes back, and you have Waddle, we'll see what they do. I just don't understand how they want to compare apples to oranges. They're both fruits, but it's not the same thing. When Justin Herbert, they addressed the offensive line for Herbert. They gave him probably arguably the best center in football. Okay? They gave him an offensive line for him to throw behind. I've seen Justin Herbert, and everybody wants to say, Josh Allen. Josh Allen has 4 seconds on every pass to throw a football. Tua doesn't have 2 seconds to throw the football. So, to me, that's all it is. If you give Tua an offensive line, Tua, to me, has never been – it's not about if Tua is going to be the answer. Is Tua going to be the answer in Miami?
Right.
I can guarantee that if Tua goes to any other team in the NFL, Tua will show everybody that he is the man that we thought he was. But until they decide to accept accountability and say, okay, we messed up. We brought an offensive line coach as a rookie. What is he going to teach you? When you're a medical professional, when you go into the medical field and you're learning under someone, if the guy who's above you is only 3 months, he's only been in the field 3 months more than you have, what is he going to teach you? They don't have any offensive coaches with any experience. I think Brian Flores played the game perfectly. He didn't let the game play him. They can't let him go. Who are they going to replace him with? He specifically got no coaches with any experience.
That's a great point. So there's no interim candidate on there.
There's nobody you can put because he made it that way.
The interim coach would be like an intern, like a water boy. Yeah. Here, you're the coach now.
You're better off getting the vice president of operations. I mean, listen, you're going to coach a team because we have no experience.
Yeah.
There's no coaches at all whatsoever to replace Brian Flores. He did it the smart way, but the problem is everything falls on him. Anybody who thinks that Brian Flores isn't responsible for Eric Rowe, for what's his name, Kyle Van Noy, Eric Rowe, all these players that were brought in that were expatriates, as much as Chris Grier is the GM, those are Brian Flores. He brought them in. He's the one that drafted Hunter Long. He's the one that wanted to take Jalen Phillips, and I have no issue. If they would have not taken Jalen Phillips and they would have sat there and got an offensive lineman and they would have gone and got Boogie Basham, I wouldn't have had an issue with that. I'm okay with that. But
and they also, we could probably agree, Chris Grier has failed miserably in not drafting running backs like before the 7th round. Like, what is that nonsense? Like, are you telling me you can wait till the 7th round and expect to find a decent back?
But I think that is more of a Brian Flores influence than Chris Grier himself not drafting a running back. I think he gave Brian Flores too much power. He did it. Brian Flores' defense has been horrible. Horrible. This is the first game this year that they actually unveiled the amoeba defense, and every time they blitzed, Trevor Lawrence didn't know where to go with the ball.
Yeah.
So why would you sack him on first down and then go back and play zone? You just sacked him. Why would you give him 8 yards on second down? Because you're giving it to him. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's like if he's playing to fail. I don't understand it. He's been trying to get rid of Tua. You can tell by the way that they're playing. They want to blame Tua. And if you bring Deshaun Watson, which is what everybody's talking about, into this offense, they're going to kill him too. He has suffered broken ribs. They talk about Tua being injury prone. Deshaun Watson has had broken ribs, torn ACL, messed up knee. If Jesse Davis doesn't block, they're going to kill him either way. So I don't understand this whole narrative. Justin Herbert wouldn't have done half the stuff that he did if he was here in Miami.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that before. Like people always wonder how many Super Bowls would we have had we signed Drew Brees? Maybe none. you never know. It's every situation is different.
If people don't understand something in football, the two basic steps that everybody overlooks is your offensive line has to block, and you have to be able to snap the football, okay, to start the play. I don't get how Tua is to blame for every loss, but doesn't get credit when we win, when he has the ball in his hands more than anybody else. That to me doesn't make sense. They want to talk about the defense and the defense. Well, where's the defense this year? Let's say you want to give they're horrible. So if the Dolphins would have won on Sunday, are they going to give Tua credit? Because Tua didn't lose the game.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
Anybody's
saying that is ridiculous.
I don't remember when was the last time we even had a 300-yard passer.
Was it Tua against Arizona or Kansas City? I think one of those he had 300 yards. Either Arizona or Kansas City last year was probably the last time.
You know, against Kansas City, who did he have at wide receiver? Devontae Parker left at halftime.
Hollins and Bowden.
Yeah, the same people he has now.
Yeah.
So I think that Will Fuller plays this week. I think the Dolphins win. I think they're finally going to say, you know what? We can't get pressure with the front four. Organic pressure doesn't exist right now. Let's go get the quarterback. And if they do that, I think they'll beat the Falcons. If we play with a full core of receivers, if we don't beat Buffalo, it'll be a lot closer game than 35-0.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there because I'm tired. It's not that Tua is the greatest quarterback since sliced bread, but how can you get a full evaluation of what you have in a player when you give him nothing to help him? There's nothing on that offense that scares anybody. All the fear was supposed to come from Will Fuller taking the top off the defense. And everybody wants to sit there. And everybody
instead, Fuller's out there stealing $10 million. He's got a ski mask on, stealing money.
He's not stealing $10 million. Let's be sincere. Jacoby Brissett, if he knew how to throw a pass, he wouldn't have broke his finger.
Yeah,
he's wide open. He throws the ball to the floor.
That's a good point.
If people were talking about Albert Wilson, well, I'm going to ask you a question. How many times has Albert Wilson been running down the field wide open?
Yeah.
And Jacoby Brissett didn't throw him the ball.
Yeah, way too many. And
Gesicki,
same thing. Gesicki wide open, Brissett not throwing the ball.
How come Gesicki can't catch passes from Brissett, but he plays with Tua and he has a 100-yard game? Yeah, doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't.
I appreciate you as always, man. I love your passion and your insight. That was a pretty damn good breakdown. Big John Stud. Follow him on Twitter at Big John Stud 007. Anything else you want to promote, sir, where people can find you and interact with you?
Man, they can find me on Twitter. I was going to tell you something. If I was Miami, I would try to grab Steve Sarkisian and bring him to the Dolphins. I mean, if you're Miami, go pay Steve Sarkisian whatever he wants. Bring him over here. He's unproven, but at the end of the day, he wanted to be here and said on video, it's out there, where all he wanted to do was coach Tua Tagovailoa.
Yep.
So bring him in, and you go from there. That's what I would do. I wouldn't break down this whole thing and rebuild it. I just don't get why they didn't go get the left tackle from Detroit. If you can't draft him, you might as well bring him over here. He's only $1 million for this season, and you get a left tackle. And you would have shored up the whole offensive line. So,
amen to that, brother. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, man.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it, man. You're great as always.
Our pleasure. You as well. The great Big John Stud. Make sure you follow him. What a good dude. So I guess people in the chat are saying that John McClain from the Houston Chronicle is saying that a deal could be made this week between the Dolphins and Texans for Deshaun Watson. Listen, if that happens, it's going to come down to what we talked about a couple of weeks ago. The owner wants it, and at this point, the GM, who has swung and missed so many times, might be thinking self-preservation. This is what I can do to save my job. Like that's going to be what's running through his head, right? Because when you're in a situation like Chris Greer and you've made so many mistakes in the draft and with talent evaluation, that at a certain point you've got to say, hey, if I have to trade a bunch of draft picks to get the guy that the owner wants here, maybe I might as well do that because I won't be around long enough to use those draft picks anyway if I don't make this move. And Devin Jordan, thank you so much, sir, for the donation. I appreciate the super chat. Oh, Dolphins, by the way, I hope this works out in our favor. As Big John mentioned, he still has some faith in a playoff run. I hope he's right. I'm a little bit less optimistic after what I saw this past weekend, but we need weapons back. So that's a fair point. You get weapons back, you're going to have better performances. The defense needs to play better. But according to ESPN's FPI, the Dolphins have the third easiest schedule the rest of the way. Now, you had a really easy game this past weekend and you blew it. So hopefully you don't do that again. But the Falcons aren't good. Then, as Big John mentioned, you play the Bills on the road. You got to do better than you did the first time when you got your lunch stolen from you, schoolyard bully style, 35-0. Then you've got the 1-5 Texans. You've got then, oh my God, the Ravens. Why do the Ravens always turn up on our schedule? They kick our asses every time. We got the 5-1 Ravens. We've got we still have the 1-4 Jets twice on the schedule. We've got the 3-3 Panthers, the 1-5 Giants, the 3-2 Saints, the 4-2 Titans, going to be the old Ryan Tannehill revenge game, and the 2-4 New England Patriots. So the Dolphins have the third easiest schedule the rest of the way. So if there is an opportunity to go on a run, the opportunity is there. But of course, you missed an opportunity to start a winning streak against Jacksonville that is unfortunate. I want to thank everyone who took out of their time today. Took time out of their day. Took out of their time? That didn't make sense. I want to thank everyone who took time out of their day to watch, interact, and listen. I want to go through some shout outs here on the chat line. You guys are great. Mike Monaco from the Bronx. They can't beat the Jags. There's no way. G.A. Canes fan, thank you so much. He says, and he's up in Georgia. The Fins are going to lose to the Falcons. He says the Fins also passed on Matt Ryan. That's another one. That is another one that they could have had. They took the left tackle instead. Mac Jones, revenge game. He's going to ball. Hello, David in Miami. He was always a staple on the chat. Rafa in Miami, one of the show favorites. He says, if I'm Ross, I let Greer make the move for Watson, and then the next day I show Greer the door, and I put Brian Flores on notice. Oh, man. Cap for Life writes in, Scott Pioli, Donno, he beat the Patriots and the Chiefs. He's like 100. He's got to be like 100 years old, though, by this point, Scott Pioli. That's my only thing. Who else? Cap for Life, my dude. I love, always one of the most positive guys. Oh, my God, I'm getting the call from Spam Risk. Hold on, let me pick this up real quick. These people need to stop bothering me. Hold on. Just wait. Hello? Anybody there? I don't know. Thought they were going to try to sell me the extended warranty. There was nobody on the other end of the phone. That's too bad. Hello to Marco MB Beggs. Hello to I think we already said hello to GA Canes fan. Let me see who else have we not said hello to here. Oh, Jay Halakane. Love it. I hope he appreciated the Canes conversations that we had today. Let me see. I know I'm going to leave people out whenever I do the shout outs at the end. It makes me feel really bad. Oh, Chris Adams, my guy. Jake Garcia is definitely the future, he says. Yeah, it's great. Like Garcia, you're talking about Garcia versus Tyler Van Dyke and TVD. I give him credit for the last couple of weeks. Like he's shown me a lot. Garcia was the better prospect coming out of high school. And, I got to watch them both in the spring game. I thought Garcia was better in the spring game. I thought Garcia had the better arm and the better touch in the Central Connecticut game for what that's worth. So it's like we've been seeing some good things from TVD, and I think Garcia is even better. So I just, I hope it's not one of those things where one of these guys transfers and we lose an opportunity. Like I hope they both stick around and compete for at least one more season here. Brooklyn Rob, he has been praising my mush powers, praising or bashing maybe all throughout the day on the chat. Vincent McKay, who said Manny Diaz ain't going nowhere. I don't know about that one, but we shall see. Of course, Devin Jordan, awesome dude. Thank you for the super chat. Zachary B. Oh, how about this? Zachary B says, tomorrow is my birthday and I'm going to the game. I assume he's talking about the Heat game. That's a great way to spend the birthday. That is a great way to spend the birthday, to go out to FTX Arena and watch the Heat beat the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks on their home floor to open up the season. Hello, Welch. Welch says, what up, Donno? Who are you mushing today? What are you mushing today? I might have mushed the Florida Panthers today. And as David was bringing up in the chat, I definitely mushed Will Fuller. Do you remember we did an episode when he was coming off suspension after week 1? We did an episode where I titled it, Will Fuller will be the secret weapon for the Miami Dolphins. And then within hours, he was going to miss a game for personal reasons, and he's gotten injured since then. So I totally mush Will Fuller. Hello to Justin Hill, who said Heat top 3 in the East. I would agree. I say top 1 even. Big Dan 305. In Pat we trust. Big Dan 305 is great. And as Big Dan always says, make sure you guys smash the like button. Whether you're watching me live right now or you're watching on replay later on, smash that like button and make sure you subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports if you haven't already. Bimmy Badabayo, I love that name. Thank you. And it won't let me scroll up anymore. So if I missed anybody, I apologize. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and for chatting with us. On tomorrow's show, of course, we're going to be doing a Heat Bucks preview tomorrow. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I also want to get into tomorrow some comments that Chris Carter made about Tua and, really, really urging the Dolphins to make a trade for Deshaun Watson. I want to go over that tomorrow and ask, are his comments on Tua unfair? Did he go a little bit too far with what he said about Tua Tagovailoa? So stay tuned for that. I want to remind you guys, please support our sponsors. We have the newest one on the Donno Daily family is the Daily Stakes. Go to thedailystakes.com. We're going to be talking with Dylan from the Daily Stakes this coming Monday. We're going to be talking some NFL, Monday Night Football, some NBA with him. So make sure you support the Daily Stakes. Make sure, of course, you support the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Locations all over Broward County. They got 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. The food is delicious. It's such a great place to watch sporting events, or, you want to grab a quick lunch, you want to watch a game in the evening. It's such a great spot to go. Go to quarterdeckrestaurants.com. Come for the food, stay for the fun. And guys, what have you been waiting for? Make sure you sign up if you haven't already. Sign up at BetUS.com. Full service sportsbook, and it's right at your fingertips, right? It's like instead of flying over to Vegas and walking into a sports book, you have that same power on your computer, on your smartphone, on your tablet. I placed several Champions League soccer bets today. I did them on my tablet, and it took me 5 minutes to mush like 3 different teams on there. And I actually won my my bet in the early game on Salzburg, so I wasn't a complete mush today. But it's so much fun, guys. America's favorite sports book. Sign up at betus.com and use our code 5RSN125 for a 125% sign up bonus. That'll do it for this episode. I think Manny and Sean are going to be back with me tomorrow. I got to say, I held up all right. I'm a one-man switchboard, one-man machine today, doing everything behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. Sean and Manny will be back with me tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been another episode of Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Ciao.